Hey everyone, this is Stephanie with Trinkl Estate Planning. This week I want to start a mini series about the dangers of DIY estate planning. I've been seeing a lot of ads lately for programs and kits to make your own estate plan, and that might seem like a great idea. I've seen these kits ranging from $100 to a few $100s, and that might seem really tempting as opposed to working with a lawyer, but those plans create a lot of issues. So that's what I want to talk about today. The main things I want to focus on with a DIY plan is execution and thoroughness. So one of the issues that I see most often when a DIY plan comes across my desk, whether the person has died or whether they're still living and they have questions, maybe they started their DIY plan online or with another service, but they're not sure how to continue, or they're not sure if they did it right, is a big issue. So oftentimes what I see with this is that people will come to me and they'll be like, well, I think I already made this document. I already made a will and I already made a power of attorney, right? Well, I'll often look at these documents and they're not done correctly. They're not completed. Either, the person never signed the document, or they never signed it in front of witnesses, or they never signed it in front of a notary, or they didn't date it, or they filled it out wrong. The list goes on, and it is so frustrating. And thankfully for those clients, this was something that, I was able to fix for them because they were still living. If you've passed away and your DIY plan wasn't executed the right way, it didn't follow the laws for signing the document and actually making it legal and effective, you're kind of up a creek. Or if there are parts of your plan that maybe you executed it properly, but you filled things out wrong, or there are things that are conflicting, now you have an issue with that. Or I should say your family is going to have an issue with that big time. So my second point with that then is thoroughness. Now, I can see the appeal in these plans where it's like, okay, I can spend a fraction of the cost to get what I think is the same thing as working with a lawyer. The issue with that is that by working with a lawyer, you are working with an expert. You're working with a professional who's studied for years on the subject matter, as well as has ongoing studies in order to keep up a license. Lawyers, doctors, accountants, we all have licensing that makes sure that we're not messing things up for you guys. And that's the importance behind that. The other thing about working with an attorney and the value that you're getting from that is that that expert is going to tell you things that are conflicting. They're going to point out issues with your own planning thoughts. Maybe the people that you'd want to have in your plan, the way that you want your plan to work, maybe that's not actually going to work out the way that you want it to. And you don't know that because you just don't have that background and that expertise. Now, I don't want to get too much into it in this video, but some of the issues to think about that you just wouldn't really know as a non-attorney are things like, well, what about retirement accounts? Are any of your beneficiaries going to be getting retirement benefits? Because there's been a whole change in the law last year as to how that has to be paid out. What about any beneficiaries who might have special needs? Those people can't receive money outright, or it's going to mess up their government benefits that they need to survive and thrive. What about just your own family dynamics and making sure that you're choosing people that are really going to fill the roles in your plan the best way? And these are just a few things to touch on. Now, like I said, when you're going about a DIY plan, these things often just aren't on the top of your mind because it seems very cut and dry. But I saw an ad the other day for one of these services, and it was like, oh, complete your estate plan in 15 minutes. That to me is totally bonkers. You should not be completing an estate plan in 15 minutes. It is not going to work unless you own literally nothing. It takes a little bit of time, at least a little bit of time, to dissect what you have, who's in your life, what's going to work, and then actually plan that out to make a plan. So do not be tempted by something that says 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And I'll get more into that in my next video, but here were a couple talking points for the dangers of a DIY estate plan, and stay tuned for my video next week while I dive more into this as well as other issues to watch out for.